Paul from Les Bronx Guitars, and welcome to my shop. Today we're going to do some bonding. I'm going to do it on this body right here. Normally when I do my bonding, I do it in a false bonding fashion. I think they call it faux. Anyway, it's basically using whatever top that you put on a guitar, and it could be just a solid body guitar like this with no top on it. If you paint it or stain it, you expose a 1/4 inch binding look around the edge of it. Most of the time when I do that, I do use a figured maple top or something like that, and I'll bend the end over to the body, and that leaves that 1/4 inch effect around the sides. You just leave it exposed. You paint or stain all the other parts of the guitar, and I always leave a little bit on top, a little sliver of that material of the top showing there on the edge too. And that's a really beautiful way of doing it. I love using the real wood as a binding effect. One thing I've never done was put on glue on any binding. Like you can glue on wood or plastic. I think they got vinyl or I forget the materials that I have, but I've never done it that way. And one of the problems was trying to manipulate this arm relief right here. But there's a way around that. It's this machine right here. Now, I've seen these before on different YouTube channels, and everybody's got their own way of doing it. And as a matter of fact, I think StewMac and LMII and some other companies sell them. They're already made, so you just set your router on it. They're very expensive, very, very expensive. Me, I like to make things myself, just the way I am. So I decided to make one. I took the plunge. That's as far as I'm going to take the plunge, I guess. But I've had some of this extruded aluminum around, and this plate and these wheels, they come from, I think, a company called Open Build. I think that's what they're called. And I was going to use this stuff for something. I've got a couple of these. I've got some of these different type of plates and wheels and hardware. And I was going to use it for something else, but I decided not to, and I thought I'd repurpose it for this. So it's going to find a place anyways. So I've made this. I got the plate. I bolted the wheels to it. The wheels have a V-groove in them, and they ride inside this channel, inside the extruded aluminum. And then I made a plate, a base basically, for the base of the router to fit on. And I used a piece of this, I think it's Lexan or some kind of clear plastic they sell at StewMac, and it's 3/8 inch thick. It's used to make templates for router pickups and stuff like that. And I had some of that extra laying around. Actually, I think it was a neck slotting template that I had for Fender guitars. It had a bass and a guitar end on it, and I never used it. I bought it years ago, and I never even made guitars like that. So I put it to good use. I cut it, and I took that piece and this little piece out of it. So what I did with that is I drilled holes through the end here into the smaller piece and made this right angle, and then I put acetone on both surfaces, screwed them together, and clamped them. So I've got screws, and it's basically glued together with the acetone. And then I took another piece, actually I took 3 pieces of some thinner stock, the older stuff that they used to have for templates, a little thinner. But I glued 3 of those together with acetone. And then I cut it out in a circle, and let me show you the bottom of it. I cut out a circle, I put it in my drill press, and I use files to grind this down to get this angle that I have right here. I just ground it down with files and then sandpaper and everything till it got right down to the edge, just where the bit almost touches it. it's perfect. It clears the body real good. So that's basically it on the construction of it, and it's just some stuff I had laying around. I'm going to consider this a prototype, at least as far as the base goes right here. I'm going to do something. I think I might do something different with a base. I like the Lexan, I like the piece on the here. That's actually came out pretty good, but I might modify it a different way. But for now, I'm going to try it and see how this thing works on this thing. And you can see as you bring the body in, it follows that taper until it reaches the bit, and it stays there along the flat parts. And then when it gets to the arm relief, it drops down and comes back up on the other end. So hopefully this is going to work. And this, by being the way it is, it keeps a straight cut along all the edge, especially when you get to this curvature here. It keeps the bit straight, so it just drops it down and makes it bend up. So let's go ahead and give it a try. So here's the material I'm using, and I've already sized that up with the bit, and I leave myself a little extra above it so that I can scrape it down. So here we go. All right, well, it looks like that worked out good. So the binding is just a little proud on top. I like it like I want it that way. It's just about exact on the sides. It's got maybe just a little bit, the wood's just a little bit proud, which is good. Now when I get to this section here, I guess I'm going to have to heat it to bend it so that it comes down around this section here. But that looks pretty good. I like it. That worked out. Okay, so to glue this plastic to this body, this binding to this body, I'm going to use some acetone. And the acetone is basically going to melt the plastic and allow it to stick to the wood. So I'm going to, this is just a little glue bottle I have. I put a little pipette on it just to get a little more pinpoint action on it. And anyways, I'm gonna bend this a little bit. I'm gonna heat this up a little bit and bend it. And this curve right here, if I have trouble holding it, I know it's gonna be hot. I got a pair of gloves ready in case I have to use gloves. I might use my fingers to hold it at first, or maybe with this roller. Anyway, I'm gonna run it around this way until I get to about here. And right here is where I have to manipulate a bend going down. Not a bend this way, but a bend this way. Because I have a pretty steep slope right here. This forearm relief really is deep. Deeper than I normally do on guitars. So hopefully that bends well there when I heat it up. Some of the things I learned from this experience. Now, this is the first time I've ever put binding on a guitar. One thing about it is, okay, all this area right here, the flat, very simple. Once I come to this point over here where it bends, and you see it's kind of, that stuff right there is from the acetone kind of melting it right there where my finger was on. I left my fingerprint on it. That area right there was tough to bend over, and working it all the way around here was tough. When I got to around this end right here, it got better when I started heating the binding up a little more. I was a little reluctant to put too much heat on it because I didn't know what it was going to do. I don't know if it was going to bubble up or whatever. You definitely don't want to put too much heat on it. But I think if I put more heat on it in this area and got that bend, held it down, let it cool, and then glue it, and then heat it all the way around more, it would come out easier on me. it came out good. It's very tight from what I can see. Of course, I got a lot of tape on it. We'll know when I pull this tape off of it. But it came out really smooth. When I got to this end down here, where the hook is, I just heated up pretty good, stuck it in, let it cool. It kept the shape, and I continued around. It was pretty easy to do. Even manipulating this bend right here, heated up real nice and got it in here, and I didn't have any issues at all here or here. It was all right there in that area. So one thing I know, I think my binding's kind of thick. I don't remember if this is 80 or 90 thousandths or something. I'd have to measure it. It's pretty strong. I mean, it's thick. Maybe if I had some thinner material, it would go a little easier. I don't normally do, like I said, I don't normally do my arm relief so steep. This one's pretty radical. So yeah, that has something to do with it too. But with a little heat, a little patience, it'll work out. So I'm gonna let it sit overnight. I'll come back in here, I'll take the tape off, and we'll take a look at it. All right, well, that was fun getting all the tape off. I didn't video that, kind of boring, but it was kind of sticky, a little bit of a sticky mess. So anyway, once I got the tape off, I scraped it down with my scraper and on the top, and then I did the sides, and then I did some sanding overall, and it come out great. There are no voids anywhere on the sides or the top of this guitar, and it's very uniform all the way around. I was particularly concerned with the forearm contour because I was struggling like a little bit back here, especially in this end when I first started. It was hard to get it bent, it's hard to get it heated up just right. I was afraid to melt it. So, but as I got going along, I started noticing I was getting the right heat when I got on that end. So I'm gonna have to learn that and figure out how much heat to put on it to make these bends, and that's just gonna take a little bit of a few more times. But for the first time applying binding in all the years that I've been building guitars, that come out really good. I like it, and if it wasn't for this tool that I made, it wouldn't have come out this well. This tool is great. It follows that contour nicely, keeps it nice and square and neat. So I'm glad I made this thing. Now, I did not invent it. I'm not the inventor of this. I pretty much copied it from other people. There's some companies that make some. I think StewMac, LMII. I don't know if theirs follows a contour. I think StewMac does. I'm not sure. Anyway, I've seen a bunch of videos out there of guys making different kinds. I think this one mostly resembles the one at Texas Toast Guitars. Those guys made one using this extruded aluminum. I'm pretty sure it was them. And I don't know if they use the same plate or not. And the wheels, they may have. I'm pretty sure their base was different. They had a different router anyway, so whatever way they made their base, it had the slope like this. I really can't remember. I'd have to go back and look at the video, but it's probably the closest resemblance. And it works. It works good. And it's really solid. I mean, this thing is solid. I like it. I'm glad I made it. That's going to be used a lot in the shop now. I'm going to do some more of this binding. All right. So if you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. If you want to leave a comment in the comment section, I'd be glad to hear it and answer it if it's a question. And if you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you can keep up with what's coming up next. And I've got a few more videos coming up. I got another couple tools that I'm introducing to the shop that I'm building, and I think I'm going to do some wood prep stuff like that and a bunch of stuff. So be sure to check that out. So I'm going to let you go for now, and I will see you next time.